Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Noach, and the name Noach, or Noah, as you might be more familiar, but Noach in Hebrew means comfort. But we all know that this story contains a massive flood that destroys the earth and all its inhabitants, except for Noah, his family, and 2 of every living creature. This may seem like an odd juxtaposition, but I think that the contrast of comfort and chaos all mixed up in one Torah tale is more reflective of reality than we like to admit. At home or at work, spending time with family or friends, looking out at the world that surrounds us, we are a constant mixture of calm and chaos, all the more so now. One instant organized and together, and another overwhelmed and alone. But now it is Shabbat, and a chance to sift through the chaos and focus on the comfort, on the rejuvenating calm that we all require, a chance to reflect on the potential for goodness and teaching and insight each moment may possess. So we're going to take part in a little meditation. I invite you to uncross your legs, close your eyes, put your prayer book on your lap, relax your hands, your face. You have a mask on. It's okay. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And try to let go of the stress and tension of the week that has just passed, because it is now behind you. Let go of the news, the less than ideal interactions you may have had this week. Let go of the desire to do, to acquire, to be more. Just be. And as we breathe in and out, let in the sense of joy and belonging, the wonder of being here all together, 1 minute hot, an hour later cold and windy. Still a chance to be together and worship together. Let in the permission to slow down, enjoy your evening, the weekend, to see what will be. And let in your mind the people that you love. See their faces, surround them with Shabbat light. As we breathe in and out, we open up our eyes and increase our awareness of the potential for goodness that surrounds us. We enter Shabbat by kindling our Shabbos lights on page 3 in our Sidurim, our prayer books. It's my pleasure to call up Marsha Krasner to lead us in the blessings.
Shabbat Shalom. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the world. We shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary and parking lot, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Oh, the same? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, letzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Amen. And please join me in Kiddush on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon yinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
L'chaim. L'chaim. We continue now on page 12 as we welcome Shabbat with song from Psalm 95, L'chuna Ranana.
Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song.
On page 22, we continue with Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir. Turn back now to page 20 as we make ready to welcome the Sabbath bride, singing Lachadodi. We'll sing verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9. And when we reach verse 9, we rise as a community, whether you're here with us on Rosenberg Way or you're with us on our live stream. We invite you to stand, face the entrance of whatever prayer space you are in, and welcome the Sabbath bride, that Shabbat spirit, singing with us, whether it is out loud or in spirit.
Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Yishmianu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'lithilah Lecha dodi v'kirat kala לקראת שבת זכור ונלכה היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך תודי לקראת
Turn to those around you, give them a wave, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Let them know how glad you are that you're all here together. We're all here together celebrating Shabbat as a tsunami approaches. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 26 as we remain standing through the Shema.
Continue together on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv arabim, v'chochma potach sha'arim, u'bitbuna mishaneh itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et ha'kochavim, B'mishmero tehem barakira kirsono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'mavdil bein yom u'bein layla. Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid imloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. On page 33 at the bottom, we continue responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love?
Then this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated. We continue with the Hafta on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinontam levonecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha b'meitecha v'lachtecha b'derech u'shochbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot hayadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אליכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue on page 41, reading together. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Page 40.
No אמר כפררנו את יעקב, וגאולו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני.
On page 43 at the top, we read together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, vel kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. On page 44, we join reading the words of Ishamru as Cantor Berlin sings them for us.
ושמרו ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
We rise for the Amidah on page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel v'Elokei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, Eloyom, Komei Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מחמוך בעל גבורות, ומדון מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, נאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. On the top of page 55, we read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. On the bottom of page 57, we read together. You're with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance, and let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levarecha b'yirah na'avod. On the top of page 59, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shincha ulecha na'eh lehodot. On page 61, we read together Birkat Shalom, prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. And may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, eternal one, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael, Bashalom. Having offered prayers for peace in our world, we pause now to offer prayers of healing for those in our lives, those in our community, and in our world as well. Whether they are suffering from illness or anxiety, whether they are struggling with COVID or the anxiety of being in this world, we know that each of us needs strength, needs hope and healing. And by sharing in our prayers, we are lifted up together. So think of those who are in your heart. We also have our Misha Berach list of healing. It is on our website under worship if you want to pull up the list and see those who are listed as part of our community. With their names, with the names that are in our hearts, we sing a prayer of healing. Misha Berach.
Amen. a moment for silent prayer. You may read the readings on page 63, or of course, whatever is in your own heart. Shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen.
In our world, we have over 7,000 languages spoken today. Some of them are more widely spoken than others, but I still was surprised at the large number of languages that there are in our world. In Papua New Guinea alone, there are over 800 languages spoken. The United States comes in at 335 languages spoken. To me, those numbers are pretty mind-boggling. Not because I don't believe the diversity that we have in the world, but that I can't even begin to comprehend how those different languages would sound, who would speak them, or how there can be so many languages in a country with less than 9 million people, meaning that around a little more than 11,000 people speak each language, and that's it in Papua New Guinea. How did we get to have so many languages in our world? I can't tell you a historical or linguistic analysis, but I can tell you that Torah addresses this question in our Torah portion of Noah, the portion for this week. There are 9 verses, Genesis 11, 1 through 9, which are seemingly inserted into our Torah text without much pretense. It is the story of the Tower of Babel, a tower created by all human beings in one location for the purpose of inciting war against God and protecting themselves from any future floods. A tower that the people hoped would reach the heavens. God sees this and puts an end to it and scatters the people, giving them different languages. Many people see this as God punishing the people and separating them. I choose to take it a different way. We already know from Genesis 1:27 from last week's Torah portion of Bereshit that God decides to create human beings, B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. So by giving the humans different languages, God is just emphasizing the diversity of humanity. Rabbi Shefa Gold explains how she sees this as well. She says the portion of Noah blesses us with yet another rainbow, the story of the Tower of Babel. The tower of our arrogant singular purpose topples, and we are given a rainbow of diversity in its place. As we seek to touch the unity prompted by hunger for mastery or control, we are answered with multiplicity. We are sent on a rainbow journey to acknowledge every shade of experience, to recognize the whole spectrum of what it means to be human. We are blessed with complex beauty, confounding paradox, and the opportunity to know and enjoy all the separate colors that together form the magnificent white light of the One. Rabbi Gold connects the earlier brit or covenant that God has with Noah, the symbol of the rainbow, with a second brit or covenant here, another rainbow in Rabbi Gold's words, but one which is shown as a manifestation of our diversity as humanity. The imagery here is powerful, bringing all colors from light together to create white, a depiction of God. We know that in Torah, the story of the Tower of Babel gives us 70 languages, and Rabbi Gold talks about the diversity not in terms of languages, but in terms of colors and beauty. It doesn't really matter which way you interpret the text. The main point is that we are given this multiplicity of people. We are given that opportunity to recognize it because God made it happen. It is a beautiful sentiment full of hope and pride. At the same time, it separates us. Last night, for our Nefesh program for October's Global Diversity Awareness Month, a fitting theme for the story in Torah, we had the opportunity to hear from Otis L. Scott Jr., or Scotty, about unconscious bias. He has a very impressive bio, which has allowed him to work on diversity, equity, and inclusion training for numerous institutions and organizations. He shared so many resources and thoughts with us that it's hard to share all of it in just one sermon, but you can still watch it on Facebook, don't worry. There were a few things that did jump out at me. One, unconscious bias is just that, unconscious. We don't intend to discriminate against one group in favor of another, but it happens every day, and none of us are immune. It is not logical judgment, but hardwired based on what we are taught as we go through life. Two, there are so many different types of biases, not just the ones that we tend to hear about the most, but ones we may not even think about as falling under the category of biases or stereotypes, like surnames, height, clothing style, diet, hair color, alma mater. I want to start with the second one first. We see bias happening in so many different ways. Scotty spoke about how you may get a job just because you have the same alma mater as the person hiring, or because your alma mater has a certain reputation about a specific program that you completed. This is relevant for jobs, but for our Jewish world, besides maybe some games of Jewish geography, the alma mater may not be that important. We have talked about our unconscious biases as a Jewish community towards Jews of color and the seriousness of it, yet we ignore some other biases that we may have, like surnames. Oh, that person must be Jewish. That's a Jewish last name. Or the opposite. That person can't be Jewish with that last name. What about hardwired judgments that Jews have dark, curly hair? Don't look at me since I fit into that stereotype, but look around. This is not the case or reality for our community. Cantor Berlin has even told me before that she had someone say to her, "You're the Cantor? You look like a shiksa with your blonde hair." Something quite offensive and inappropriate and rooted in unconscious bias. We are an Ashkenormative community, even though we are made up of people from all over the world. When I say Ashkenormative, I mean that we let Ashkenazic, Eastern European, cultural, ritual, liturgical, and stereotypical and language inform our Jewish practices. We are not alone in this, as I would argue that most North American Reformed congregations are not Ashkenormative. However, that unconscious bias is hardwired into us from being part of this group, and influence come into play a lot. Whether it is about race, surnames, language, or looks, we tend to look more towards the Ashkenazic way of life in our Jewish community. This brings me back to my first point that I learned from Scotty. What exactly unconscious bias is, and that we aren't trying to upset or offend people. We aren't intending to make these snap judgments, but they happen. At the end of the presentation last night, Scotty addressed, where do we go from here? The only real answer is that we cannot change as a society, community, organization, or congregation unless every individual commits to searching for their own implicit bias and being open to changing it. We have to do the work ourselves as individuals. Take the implicit bias tests available online for free. Read books, watch interviews and trainings, listen to podcasts. There are so many opportunities for us to grow in our knowledge of our personal unconscious biases. I do not believe that God gave us a myriad of languages to punish us or make us have these biases against one another. Instead, I see it as an opportunity to celebrate the diversity that we have and to better ourselves and our society by recognizing the beauty and the differences of people all over the world. The range of languages, cultures, religions, etc. of people is only a negative when we allow our unconscious biases to come in and tell us how to view others. May we take the time this Shabbat, month, year, forever, to recognize our personal unconscious biases and work to correct them. May we use our personal growth to make systemic changes in our workplaces, organizations, Temple Beth-El, San Antonio, US, and the world. May we teach these things to future generations and show them that we can improve ourselves and that they can do the same. May we grow to celebrate the diversity that God has given us by making us B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, and by giving us the story of the Tower of Babel to reinforce our differences across the world. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. Apparently, it was so impactful that we just had to have that win right there at the end. Woo! We are going to continue with our concluding prayers on page 283 with Aleinu, and I invite you to please rise if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וקרא עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We continue on page 288 with our memorial meditation. When I die, give what's left of me to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Shirley Alter, Robert Banks, Lily Bloom, Molly Braveman, Hyman William Brisman, Nettie Charles, Burton Cohn, Nell G. Coyne, William A. Dougherty III, Lawrence Dickinson, Blanche Edwards, Doris Ferguson, Frank Friedman, Al Fries, Alfred Gez, Doyle Gilreath, Samuel Glass, Alvin Walter Goldman, Joan Friedson Greenblatt, Max Grossman, Ernest L. Hall, Thomas Raymond Herman, David Hirsch, Seymour Joss, Ruth Callum, Yvette Coulter, Ethel Kellum, Frida Klein, David Klingman, Linda Copland, Erwin Krause, Louis Lerner, Mark Levine, Jenny Lippman, Robert Lipset, Francis Mann, David Menger, Elise Olton, Alan G. Oppenheimer, Cecilia S. Osason, Richard Pice, Alice Panitz, Celia Phillips, Samuel W. Planto, Sam Pullman, Susan Nanette Ralston, Agnes Rappaport, Joan Ratner, Harry Reed, Hilda Ricklin, Robert Rubenstein, Jeanette Sachs, Louis Charlack, Muriel Schoenfeld, Bernard W. Shanefield, Maurice Singer, Muriel Stone, Gertrude Hanover Tivers, Juanita Teuber, Gregoria Umansky, Raymond Zimmerman. To all of these names, we add those who died in the past month, whose families are in a mourning period of shloshim. Remember Andrea Lackman, Rizelle Bloom, Dr. Daniel Eduardo DeMeckman, and Robert Rubenstein. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day. We join together in Kaddish Yatom on page 294. Please rise. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, be'alma divrach yerutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'b'yomechon u'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'mei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu, La'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. It is my pleasure don't sit down, to invite up Dr. Amy Benedict, President of our Board of Trustees, to give her tonight's announcements.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom. Okay, it's a little windy out here, but it's still great. And we still miss seeing everyone who's not out here. So think about coming and joining us next week. Okay, I'm going to start with some announcements. I want to remind you about our November classes. We're going to have a mini Mester series with Uri Feinberg. And this is supported by the Jean and Jesse Wolf Religious Enhancement Fund. And it's a great example of our generous congregants who make our programming possible. And I try to combine a wellness moment every week while we're living in the middle of a pandemic. And I want to say that this week, I want to thank those who have come before us and set up these endowments. And this is one example of what the funds are being used for. And another example, the programming we had last night was really very special. I learned a lot about unconscious bias. I think we can all learn a lot about that. So anyway, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you have a wonderful week. And this might not have been the correct night to choose to hand out ice cream, but but maybe the children will partake and be happy that they sat through the windy service. But thank you for a lovely service, and Shabbat Shalom.
You've been waiting for months to use the heated seats in your car. Now is your moment. Our closing song is Hallelujah on page 339. Please rise.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom. We're so glad you were able to be here with